Good evening and welcome to the Turkey Trot at Summit Point Motorsports Park. My name is Jim Karamanis from the Vintage Racer Group, bringing you action from tonight's Virtual Racer League event. This is the final event of Season 4. This will wrap up our season. We'll give you a little bit of practice here, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes. Good evening and welcome to the Turkey Trot at Summit Point Motorsports Park. This is Jim Caramanis with the Vintage Racer Group, bringing you the VRL. Tonight we wrap up Season 4 with the Turkey Trot. Points leader Stefan Vappa has a commanding lead. I don't think anyone has any chance of catching him tonight. This will be the league's last race in the Skip Sports 2000 for a while. The league will be transitioning over to an endurance series during the holiday season. 4-race American Endurance Series featuring tracks like Daytona, Sebring, Road Atlanta, and Watkins Glen. All races during the endurance season will be 75 minutes. It'll be a little different for the racers after being in these open wheel cars for the last 2 seasons and racing for 40 minutes at a time. It'll be a very different bit of strategy. They don't have no choice but to stop and fuel the car up. Rob Hines back with a VRL after taking some time off. Rob was very busy in the rear racing world this year. Actually raced 2 different cars at the SCCA National Runoffs. Ian Ditson has returned to the league. Ian's been off at college, home for the Thanksgiving holiday, and back on the simulator. Good to see you back, Ian. Scott Krieger entering the pit lane. Don LeBayer running after John Wood. Bob Lang on track tonight. Has won some races in this car. Mac McCormack, who, as you can see, normally races Mini Cooper with VRG. done an excellent job of matching his real-life car to the virtual car. Very similar paint scheme. Is also a lead instructor at the VRG yearly Vintage Racing Drivers School. Andrew Granis and Ian Ditson having a little bit of a scrap. Ian working his way back up the pack, seems to be getting his virtual legs back under him. With Darren Treacle, series champion back in seasons 1 and 2. Stefan Vappa having equaled that multi-time championship number. Darren hasn't had a race win for a while. I'm sure he's eager. Sporting the double bubble livery this evening. So we have about 30 minutes left in practice, and I will be back shortly. And welcome back to Summit Point Motorsports Park. This is Jim Karamanis with the VRG. You're on board with Stefan Vappa. Let's take you on a lap of Summit Point Motorsports Park. Coming through turn 10 onto the main straight. And Steve Ficacci is in the booth with us. Hey Steve, how you doing? Steve Ficacci, this is Jim Karamanis. Can you hear me? Well, we'll work out our bugs with Steve. In the meantime, Stefan is approaching turn 3. Hitting the braking zone. Heading through turn 4. This area of the track is called the chute. Approaching turn 5. Slowest turn on the track. Entering turn 6, also known as the beginning of the carousel, or for those who are familiar with Summit Point, the beginning of the front straight. Making his way through turn 7, turn 8. Full on the throttle through turn 9. Drawing a straight line between turn 9 and turn 10 will actually take him back to the middle of the track under the bridge. And you'll hear him just kick down a gear and get back on the throttle and head out to the front straight. Steve, can you hear me? There you are.
Jim, are we live? What's going on?
Hey, Steve. Welcome to the stream. Folks, I'm joined by Steve Ficacci. Steve, how are you doing this evening? Steve, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sorry about that. That was my mistake. Welcome to the stream.
Yep. You got a stream for me to watch, or should I watch the YouTube?
I'll go ahead and share the stream so you can see what I'm seeing.
Awesome.
So we've got about 20 minutes left in practice. No surprise to see Stefan at the top of the timesheets. Ian Ditson is back from school, though, and already getting those lap times really, really close to Stefan's. So we might see a pretty exciting three-way battle here with Stefan, Ian Ditson, and Darren Treacle.
Yeah, Scott's not too far off, and Dave Curtis. I mean, quite a few cars right at the front. I mean, it looks a little promising race. I mean, this is a pretty familiar track for most of the racers, isn't it? Is it not?
Yeah, this is the home track for the Vintage Racer Group, and we've got several SCCA racers that are part of this series because they race with the VRG at the Turkey Bowl. We have a modern group at the Turkey Bowl, and a lot of SCCA racers come out and support us. So they're all very familiar with Summit Point as well. Of course, we put on our Vintage Racing Drivers School at this track as well. So this is where most VRG racers start out.
Yeah, I'm seeing it looks like 9 drivers within a second of the fast time, which is pretty incredible. It's closer than we've had all season, so the guys must be feeling good here.
Yeah, it's almost a bitter way, sweet way to sort of end the era of the Skippy for the VRL. Although we may be back to it. But
yeah, I was a little surprised to see the car selection. I don't remember the GTE being, on the trial on the after practice race. So I was surprised to see that one pop up.
Yeah, it's been a while since the gang took the GTE for a run. I think it was a couple seasons ago at a fun night. They took it out at Daytona. But the
Yeah, it's
idea,
very good.
oh, the idea is to just have a short little season with some long races, get us through the holiday, and then in January we'll kick off with something else totally different. So most of the racers don't know what's coming. We're going to try to keep it a secret until then, but keep them on their toes.
I think the GTEs will be very much like the GT3 cars. Those races, how they went. The GTEs are a little bit tougher to drive just because they're less traction control, no ABS. But I think they're a little lighter, maybe, and maybe a little bit more downforce. So in that terms, are a bit easier. So I really don't think the racing will be terribly different. But I feel the whole field has gotten so much more experience in the sim world that the level of competition will just be that much better this time around.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how everyone adapts to having so much horsepower again. I think those cars are 5 or 6 times the horsepower of this car.
Well, this car was designed to be a trainer car and teach you a lot of the skills you'll need for racing. So hopefully that works in the sim world too, and everybody will be much more prepared this time.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. I know when Darren Treacle found out, he was pretty tickled.
Yeah, I saw a shirt. It said it had like a picture of the Skip Barber wheel, and it said "I love skips." I was thinking that'd be a good Christmas present for Darren this year.
Yeah, I think he's ready to stop driving this car for sure.
Yeah, he's up front every week with it. And, when he races with us, I feel he was a bit dominant in the GT3 car, but it's not like he's slow,
No, he's second or third, still on the podium.
But I mean, right there in pace. It's not like
Yeah, right there in pace, absolutely.
I think the Skippy, less setup options and things like that, and only one car, where before we had the option of 5 different cars or 6 cars, whatever it was in GT3. So I think the field is just tighter with this car.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go back to that spread over the endurance season. There'll be 5 cars, and the races will be 75 minutes. Mm-hmm. So very, very difficult to concentrate for that long. I think we're definitely going to see the field spread apart with that.
Yeah, it's going to be maybe a little bit, I don't want to say boring, but it'll be spread out, after about, 40 minutes. And but, the pit stop, which they're going to have to do because the cars won't make it, none of the cars will make it 75 minutes. We'll definitely keep it interesting because, I guess pit lane at most tracks with a fuel stop is going to be about 40 seconds. So it's going to shuffle the field up once, maybe twice if, if we limit fuel, you can take 2 pit stops in that time.
Right. Well, it should definitely change the strategy up a bit. Pit stops is something that a lot of these guys aren't used to, and those who have it figured out will definitely be at an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, practicing a pit stop, there could be, 5-second difference if you don't practice just the ins and the outs and where the pit limiter needs to start and things like that. So, getting into your box quickly, there's a lot of little things that if you don't focus on it, you could give up quite a bit of time.
Sure, and the guys that are generous with their tires may not have to change tires, and they could save time on the pit stop from that as well. The guys that are hard on tires are probably going to have to change them.
So it's been a few seasons, but I've done endurance races with GT cars, and it's always been in my experience that they slow down. The tire gives up as much as the fuel goes off, so the car is pretty consistent over that run. But if you take fuel only now you're taking those worn out tires and throwing fuel on it. Now there's going to be a big drop, and that's where the the strategy will be, because you can put tires on and have that drop and now be faster. But the tires, and depending on the car, could be 20 seconds. I mean, depending on the pit rules. Some cars take tires with fuel. Some tires take tires after fuel. So it'll depend on what the rules are for sure.
Well, it looks like Darren is hopped up to second place.
Yeah, he's only about a 10th off Stefan, which is a fast time.
Yeah, that's a very fast time. And it looks like Bob Lang and Ian Ditson are really close.
It's tough, when you watch a practice like this with cars on the track. The draft, if you catch it just right, can be huge. Like, if you get unimpeded but get a tow around the whole track, I mean, it could be 8/10 of a second. If you're just out there by yourself, you won't really notice. Guys could be close to you, but maybe really not because of that draft. But you're going to have to practice it both ways because it's going to be a long race, and you are going to have cars around you. I mean, I was saying before, we have 9 cars within a second. So hopefully there'll be a pretty good pack, and when that pack breaks apart, hopefully we'll have a couple small ones.
Yeah, and we have a good field tonight as well. Clark Ostrom just joined. That gives us 17 cars. We should see a lot of battles on track with that many cars.
I think 17 cars means everybody's missing the Skippy, and it's not even gone yet.
It's like everyone saw the announcement about the car change and decided they needed to jump in tonight.
Yeah, I think it's good to change up. I mean, a lot of these guys didn't have the sim experience when we started, and guys are jumping in every week. So just to get a little bit of a feel for the different cars and how they race is good for everybody.
Well, and a lot of these guys will be racing this week at Summit Point Motorsports Park. Of course, this event is called the Turkey Trot, and it's very much in respect for the Turkey Bowl, which we'll be racing out later this week. And I'd say, gosh, probably half the guys in the field tonight will be racing at the Turkey Bowl this coming weekend.
Well, that's awesome. I'd love to hear their feelings when they get back and how close the track is to the real world. I believe this was one of the earlier tracks scanned by iRacing, but I don't know if the real world track has had any significant changes.
Well, actually, there's been a pretty significant repave. There is some differences. There's also been quite a bit of work off track, so there's a lot more runoff, especially in turn 3 and around the carousel. So there are some changes from the current real world. This looks very much how the track did about 10 years ago, right after the last major repave. There used to be a bunch of concrete sections down in the carousel, and this repave was done right after that. Yeah, in fact, the runoff at turn 3 there looks very different now as well. There's sort of this snaggletooth effect as you get off track.
It's still kitty litter, or it's paved?
Oh, it's paved further out, but it gets it gets more aggressive as you go further out, and then of course you do reach the kitty litter.
How do they manage off tracks in the real world? Because I imagine if it's paved, and that's a very fast part of the track where you want to carry a lot of speed. Well, you kind of want to go wide. Yeah, now the teeth are a lot more violent with off track at turn 3, and it keeps you from going as far off as you used to. There used to be some really big issues there, honestly. We'd get some real dust storms and people going way too far off track. I don't know if it always looks like it. I've seen a few videos of this circuit, like YouTube videos, and there's never any grass. I mean, maybe it's just the time of year that I happen to watch it, but it doesn't look as green as this. At least that's not how I've seen the videos.
Yeah, it very much depends on the time of year. Certainly in July, August, there's usually not a lot of grass. It gets very hot out there.
Reminded me of watching like Sonoma in California, where it's always just burnt and dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some nuances to the track that I think get a little bit lost. I was actually watching your video the other night. You did a very good job of showing how you get around the track, and it's funny because listening to you sort of question yourself about what's going on in the corner because you're not used to the real world, and there are some nuances that aren't quite reflected. One of those is coming through turn 8 in the carousel. If you get right on the berm there, it really upsets the car. There's sort of a big divot where the berm meets the track, and a lot of the fast guys will stay 4 or 5 inches off that berm just to keep the car from becoming unsettled. But some of the Miata guys just go right through it.
I feel like there's like it almost like you could almost like hook your tire in there, and it'll help steer you around like a cushion almost in the sim.
Yeah, I did notice that. In fact, I always avoid that because I'm familiar with the real world track, and I tried it after you talked about it, and you're right. It feels very different there than a real car does. It sort of slings you around.
Yeah.
Well, looks like Darren Treacle has risen to the top of the practice times here with a 121.8. Of course, Darren instructs at this track and races here regularly. So if there's any place where he's going to have an advantage, it's certainly Summit Point.
Yeah, it's definitely shaping up to be a good race today. I'm hoping we have battles for the whole 40 minutes. I think, there's a few corners where I really think that the balance of the car changes in those first 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, until you get the tires up to optimal temperature. And you got to drive it differently, I feel. So as long as, everybody manages that okay, I think obviously some guys are going to sell through that period and not, but, there should be good racing after everybody gets the tires up and is comfortable with the car.
I completely agree with that. In fact, there are some corners that you can take without hitting the brakes, where maybe you just sort of breathe the throttle a little bit once the tires are warmed up, and you wouldn't dare do that when the tires are cold. So it really does change the driving style.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, especially like when there's so many cars close together, and like I often, if I'm doing like an official race, I'll give a little bit of room on those first few laps, just because if I'm entering a corner and I have to hit the brakes more than usual, that's just an opportunity to lose the car.
Right.
And we have 16 guys all close to each other, and just you don't want to give up the places, you know what I mean? But you also can't afford to make mistakes, so it's just a tough predicament those first few laps. And it is a 40-minute race, so if you just kind of keep that in mind and keep your car, shiny and keep the wing straight, and it'll give you your best chance for success at the end.
And 40 minutes is actually a long time in an open wheel car. A lot of these little cars really don't race much more than 30 minutes, so it's not easy, and maintaining concentration for that long is no picnic.
Yeah, the aside from the front stretch, you're pretty active most of the lap.
Yeah, this is one of the few tracks where you actually do get a chance to breathe and look at the gauges on that front straight. But you're right, the rest of the track is very busy.
Yeah, I feel like too, the corners tie into each other. So if you screw the first one up, the second one's going to be compromised. So that makes it a little bit tougher too, especially, talking about the traffic again. If somebody's on you and you mess up one corner, the next corner is going to be a great opportunity for them to get around you.
This is one of the fastest part of the tracks right here, coming down the chute. And boy, if you've never been there in real life, you have to go, because the feeling you get coming down the chute, you feel the undulation, and then you see that concrete wall with some little tires in front of it, and it's an unforgettable experience.
Yeah, it's hairy in the sim, so I can imagine, what it's like in real life, where you're coming around the right-hander. I mean, in this car anyway, you can't commit fully to the gas around it always, so then you exit it, and if you're still steering and you get on the brakes, you're going to find yourself just keep on turning to the right, which you don't want to do. So you can't give it full brake either once you're slowing down, but obviously you're coming into a hairpin, so it's just a tough corner, two tough corners backed up to each other at a high rate of speed, as you were saying.
Yeah, well, what you find is most guys will just give away turn 5. They'll give away that hairpin, and they'll completely track out on the corner before. That way they can straight line the braking going into the hairpin. Because there's really not much benefit to getting to the right side of the track. The straight after that is so short.
Yeah, I find about midway of the track is optimal. Any more to the right isn't really going to help you much.
Right.
Well, too much to the right, and you're going to help the guy behind you pass you, that's for sure.
That's right. Yeah, and being tight is really a great defensive line. It's very difficult to pass around the outside here. And it's amazing how hard you can really get on the throttle once you're committed to that hairpin. Just about every sort of car I've driven there, you can really hammer it, and it'll hold the grip. And right there, you can see a little bit of that undulation. You saw him sort of bobbing a little bit. He did go across that divot there. This is also an area where you lose a little bit of the realism. When you track out at turn 10, there's actually holes in the colored pavement. So when you get out there, it sort of starts beating the car up. And if you've got little tires like this car does, it can be pretty painful. I haven't noticed that emulated in the sim.
You know, I've noticed on all the tracks. So I did a lot of karting when I was younger, and off the circuit, you know, when the grass usually started, it wasn't smooth. You know, there was always a dip or a hole.
Right.
Where in the sim, you can always put a tire off, and while it may be bumpy, it's always level.
Right, that's
where,
right.
You know, like I remember we did Laguna Seca last week, and you could go off. You know, obviously it's gravel and it's loose, but no issues. I mean, you watch a video of Laguna Seca, it looks like there's 8-inch drops sometimes.
Well, yeah, and it depends how many repaves, because they don't always pull the old pavement up. A lot of times they'll do a second repave, and then when they go back after the second repave is when they pull all the old asphalt up. So you're right. It can be quite a difference in height.
Yeah, so in the sim, you know, we just maximize using all the track, you know, the entry, the apex, and the exit. But in the real world, that's not always the case. As you were saying, there may be divots or, you know, just the grass falls away where it's just not safe to do.
Yeah, that's right. Although I can attest that you can learn an awful lot from the sim. When the VRG ran at Watkins Glen last month, that was my first time being there in real life. And of course, I had hundreds of laps in the sim, but I couldn't believe how quickly I got up to speed. And it was completely because of iRacing.
That's awesome.
The biggest difference was, and I don't use a VR like you do, is really understanding how steep the hills were. There was quite a gradient of change there that I had never realized from the sim. But now when I go back and I drive the sim, I almost feel it now because I've seen it in real life. It's funny.
Yeah, you definitely get more of it with the VR. I don't know if you're still getting all of it, you know, because you're still on a screen. I know that, like, you put VR on, you go to Bathurst. Some people have to work their way up to Bathurst because, you know, the big hills, but I don't know if it's still truly representative of how it is in real life.
Sure. Yeah, my only experience with VR was jumping out of an airplane, and I almost threw up, so I think I'm going to stick to my triple screens.
Yeah.
Well, we're just about to wrap up practice here. And
Yeah, Darren Treacle's on top. He extended his lead a little bit there. It's 121.7.
I see that. That's a really fast time in this car. Bob Lang looks like he might get into the 21s as well, showing a lot of speed. Could have a real interesting dice up at the front. Ian Ditson is also fast enough to where if he can catch that draft, he could probably stick with that front group as well.
Yeah, I mean, the fast times are always nice. It's just, for me, the most important thing is being able to be consistently fast. So, you know, while Darren did run a 121.7, like, was he consistently 121.9, 121.3, or, you know what I mean? Like, where exactly was he? You know, is he up and down with it? Like, you know, if you're up and down, that could be the thing that loses the draft for you.
Right. Yeah, one thing we know about Stefan Vappa, he is consistent. Consistently fast.
Yeah, these times really have me excited for today's race. I think it's going to be a good one.
Well, this is significantly faster than everyone went in the practice race the other night.
So we've got a track temp of 104, which is actually on the high end. I don't remember what practice was, but...
Yeah, it's interesting how that dynamic weather works. That is pretty high. I don't think it was this high during the practice.
Well, I could see, you know, based on the shadows, that the sun is out, so I don't remember it being that way in practice. I'm actually popping it up right now, my telemetry. And... oh, actually, it was a few degrees hotter. I'm noticing when we ran qualifying in practice, it was 111 or 110 to 112 degrees. So it was a few degrees hotter, which those 6 degrees, 7 degrees can make quite a bit of difference in track time. Although the guys have all been practicing for the past few days, so you know that's probably the biggest difference right there.
Well, and they all watched your video.
You know, I don't know how much help I'll be next season in the GTE. You have all those different cars and different setups. It might be hard to give everybody good information that'll help them.
Yeah, it's really impossible to be on top of that many cars. They all have their nuances. Some of them are front engine, some of them are mid-engine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the gears are all significantly different from car to car. Might have to ask Darren, as he was the GT expert, to take over.
Well, in a lot of the cars, you have choices of which gear sets to run. I mean, there's a lot you can change on those cars.
Do they? You're right. I don't know. I know the GT3s were fixed. The GTE may have options.
Well, it depended which car you were driving. I know the Ferrari had several different gear sets you could run in.
Okay.
But yeah,
are we going to be open setup?
It's going to be open setup. It's just impossible to find fixed setups for all the cars that are fair. So we'll do our usual thing where everyone's generous and shares their setups. But we're seeing a lot of carnage on these outlaps. Just cars
it's
everywhere.
tough. It just, I think you get caught off guard. You know what I mean? They've been doing laps in the practice session. The tires are up to temperature, and it's just it's a lot to adjust to.
Yeah, and for those that don't really drive the sim, especially this car in the sim, how long does it take for the tires to get up to speed?
So based on some of the information I've been looking at, like the lap times, I would say you get about 90% of your grip after 8 to 9 minutes. And then, you know, that last little bit takes, you know, probably 12 to 15.
Yeah, so if you're going out on your out lap at the same rate and same way you're driving at the end of practice, you could be finding yourself on a wall, which is what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so it's probably 12 minutes to full grip, but between that, the car starts with oversteer, and then that gets dialed out as the car progresses through that run as well. So it's just an overall grip gaining, and then the balance changing. So it's two things you got to keep track of.
Yeah, and because the qualifying is only 20 minutes, everyone's sort of anxious to get their time in, and they end up racing each other. And then we get half the cars off the track.
Yeah, I mean, so no matter where you are on the grid, the car is going to be slow in the beginning. You know, I think it's smart to just stay on track. You know, like, don't push it early. The times, even if you get a great lap 2, it's still going to be a cold tire lap 2. It's not going to be super fast, you know, relative to your overall pace. So you just need to stay out there for, you know, 8 to 10 minutes before you can really get some laps in. So if you're around other cars, give them a little bit extra room, things like that.
Well, Ian Disson is the first to get into the 22s. I haven't seen Clark Orstrom take a lap yet. I wonder if he was having some netcode issues.
Yeah, sometimes technical errors, you know, whether they're internet, hardware, you know, iRacing, there's a lot of opportunity for issues. I mean, overall, it's a great service, and the fact that we can do this is amazing to me. But, you know, little issues can cause you to miss a few things.
Yeah, I had one night when I was racing where one of my monitors went crazy, and that was a difficult night.
Yeah. Like, I'm not super big on computers, so when I get everything working, I don't touch anything for a while. And hopefully it just keeps on going for me that way. But pretty impressive. I mean, I've seen other tracks we've been at, guys all struggle to get laps in, but here we are, just a few minutes in, and 15 cars already set times.
Yeah, everyone's familiar with this track. And of course, even if they've just done it from an iRacing perspective, we race here every season, given that it is our home track in the real world. We race here twice a year with the Jefferson 500 and the Turkey Bowl. And it's a great natural terrain road course. This isn't something that someone put pen and paper to design. This is sort of a guy with a bulldozer just kind of pushing along the natural terrain.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something nice about the feel of the older circuits that are like that.
Track originally opened and replaced the old Marlboro Raceway that was in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. This was around 1970. And for the first 2 years, you would come down the chute here, and where you see this left turn, the tight hairpin at turn 5, the track actually went straight and then turned. But 2 years later, they added this section.
I mean, the track's fairly small, so taking out any corners just really quickens up the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this track has some fairly impressive race history, and all through the 80s, Trans Am raced here. I believe they hosted quite a few IMSA races as well.
So we were talking about getting the tires up to temperature a bit before, and I'm looking at the telemetry, the scoring sheet. Darren and Stefan, who are towards the top, still haven't been able to get within, it looks like, 0.8 of their practice times. And they're 4 laps in. So it's just 4 laps in, or 7 minutes, and they're still managing, and they're significantly off their initial pace.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly Ian Ditson got to his fast time. In fact, he's already gone faster than he did in practice. Ian's normally really good on cold tires, so it doesn't surprise me too much, actually. But I'm surprised how much quicker he got there than Darren or Stefan.
Yeah, I'm also curious, like, Stefan really throws the car into the corners, at least when the tires are warm. Does that help him warm the tires up faster?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So if he can get a little temperature in his tires, maybe he'll be faster, that 5 to 10 minute mark than most guys would be.
And Darren sets a new fast time. Goes purple at a 1:22.284. Looks like Stefan is also on a fast lap. Set the fastest overall first sector. And the fastest overall second sector, I'm going to guess he's going to go to the top of the timesheet here. Let's see if he put the entire lap together. And
there he goes.
Indeed he did, yeah.
Yeah, so it's taken him 6 laps, it looks like, to match his... He's on the 7th lap, yeah, so 6 laps to match his practice times.
And Ian Ditson has gone a little bit quicker.
Everyone has set a time so far, even Clark, who we're suspecting having some issues.
Good to see Clark out there. Clark will be racing his BMW Bat car at the Turkey Bowl this week. John Wood, also known as Steady Eddie, up to 7th.
A little bit of a lockup.
John will also be at Summit Point in his BMW 2002 TII. Todd Angel joins us tonight. We haven't seen Todd for a few races now. I know he's been busy in the real world getting his real world Porsche ready for the Turkey Bowl. just got the engine in yesterday and said he will be coming out with the car.
Is this the last race of the season?
This is the last race of the season for the VRG. Some of the racers will go down south and probably do one or two more events at the end of the year, but I'd say for the majority of the people, this is the last race of the year.
Yeah, I don't usually do too much front brake lockup in this car. I think I run too much rearward bias to do that, but it's definitely more stable to keep it this way. Probably better, especially in those early laps, to have it that way. You know, this car doesn't have brake bias changing on the fly. You can only do it in the pits.
It's just yet another area where it's in line with VRG rules. Rob Hines moving up the order. Scott Luttrell just jumped up to 7th. Quick time there for Scott. And it looks like Darren is also in the 121s, but boy, Stefan is set a 121.4. That's an awful
Yeah, that's a
fast
super
lap.
fast lap.
Yeah.
Well, you can see we're 12 minutes into the session. He's still getting faster, so he's probably about at the point now where the tires are giving him all he's going to get, but it takes that whole amount of time.
Dave Curtis and Bob Lang.
These guys seem to find each other a lot on the track.
They sure do. Carlos Bonds as well. Those three have pretty much spent the entire season following each other.
And Dave Curtis got a new paint. Can't really make out what's on there yet. Looks busy.
Almost looks like an Irish flag.
It does.
I'm not sure what we're looking at here.
Yeah. King Cat or something, right? It says King Ott Customs on it. I don't know if that's something personal to him or something he found on Trading Paints. There's definitely a lot of interesting things you could find down there. Yeah, we have 12 drivers who are sub 123 already, which I think is fast, more than we had in practice.
I don't think we had but a few guys into the 22s in practice. Everyone's got much faster.
Yeah, it's really great to see how much progress everybody's made in the last few seasons. You know, a lot of guys starting from zero experience. They're practically veterans now.
There's Clark.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on with him earlier. He's been dropping time since he's gotten here, so that's always a plus. But he didn't get any real practice in, but he's definitely getting it figured out here in qualifying.
It's always tough starting on the back foot. Clark has a lot of laps around Summit, though. He actually used to race motorcycles at Summit. And back in the old days, the motorcycles got to race the track backwards, which is something he's also done.
I wonder what the reasoning for that is.
Oh, the challenge.
Being on a motorcycle, he sure knows about all those little bumps we were talking about earlier. You don't overlook those.
No, that's for sure. With just under 3 minutes left in qualifying. I don't think Darren is going to get to Stefan.
No, but we have Dave Curtis, Ian Ditson, all sub 122. So, I mean, I really think we're going to have some really nice packs going around the track. Everybody seems to really got a handle on it, so looks promising.
It does. I expect we'll see 4 cars battling it out for at least the first few laps.
Yeah, I think the trick is just to not get too wrapped up in the moment and just remind yourself it's a 40-minute race. Positions in the beginning aren't super critical, if you can hang on till the end. Just stay within sight where you can kind of nip at the draft. Maybe it'll help you tow you along a little bit so you don't have to push so hard.
Looking at these times, 5th through 9th are a 10th apart.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely expecting some packs, at least middle of the road there.
Granis moves up the timesheets.
It looks like we have a little bit of a shuffle of our typical order as well, which should be exciting. Yeah, that's an easy mistake to make running right off of turn 1. You want to carry as much speed as you can on the exit of that one.
Yeah, when you come around turn 1, right where Darren just left, at the very end where the road comes from the skid pad, there's almost like an arrow where the 2 pieces of pavement match, and so many guys have gone off there. It's like a giant divot in the road, and you drop a tire in there, and you really feel it in the car. Many times it's possible to get some air after hitting that.
Oh wow. I'm just looking, Darren's last lap was a 121.7 as well, so he's definitely got that sub 122 pace.
Yeah, he's definitely quick enough to stay with Stefan, as long as he keeps that draft. Looks like that's it for qualifying. And we are at a balmy 78 degrees here. Imagine if we had that at the track this week, although it is going to be in the mid-60s. Pretty amazing for November.
Yeah, here in New Jersey, we've had quite a few cool days, so mid-60s will be welcome at the racetrack, won't it?
It will be better weather than we had at Watkins Glen a month ago.
And you guys were fighting rain, weren't you?
Yeah, it was rain, it was cold, and there was lots of kitty litter on the track. And at the Glen, they can't do hot pulls, so there were a lot of black flags. You know, vintage cars break down. The nice thing at Summit is they will do a hot pull. There's lots of safe places to do it and get the cars off the track quickly, so you really don't lose much track time.
Just noticing Stefan Vappa went to 121.2 on that last lap.
Wow. All right, our grid for tonight. Stefan Vappa on pole. Darren Treacle outside pole. Dave Curtis, third. Ian Ditson, fourth. Don LeBayer, fifth. Todd Angel, sixth. Bob Lang, seventh. Andrew Granis, eighth. Carlos Bonds, ninth. Scott Luttrell, 10. John Wood in 11th. Rob Hines in 12th. Scott Krieger in 13th. Mac McCormick in 14th. Christian Bursens in 15th. Kurt Uzbay in 16th. Clark Orstrom in 17th. And Toby Yurko, 18th place.
Looks like we're going to have a standing start today.
Yeah, the series organizer actually remembered this week to set up a standing start. That guy. Yeah, actually what I found out this week is that there's, I guess you posted to the group list that there's a way to get back to the old interface, and
yeah,
that made my life a lot easier, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm fighting it. I'm trying to not make the switch, so whenever I figure out a way to stay with the old one, I do.
Yeah, I usually, being an IT guy, I don't mind change, but it's got to be changed for the better, and I'm not too crazy about the new UI.
Yeah, well, that's just it. There's things that I look for that I can't figure out how to do on the new one, so
yeah.
I know where it was on the old one, so I could keep going back to it.
Yeah, if they had kept evolving the website UI and made it more like what the new UI is, it would have been a more gradual evolution, and we would have probably accepted it easier, but it was just so drastic the way they did it. All right, well, we're about to get the green flag here. And we're off. Looks like a clean start up and down the grid so far.
Yeah, pretty orderly. Side by side for third, going into turn one.
Yeah, Stefan.
Oh! Ian Ditson's tumbling.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's terrible.
Just made a slight contact with Dave Curtis, and it sent him flying.
Dave Curtis seemed to make it unscathed. Oh, we saw more cars going off. Stick with this battle for now, and then we'll try to get back to some replays, see what happened to those guys. It looks like Stefan is head down, trying his darndest to break the draft. Looks like Darren is hanging on so far. Rest of the pack, not so much. Ian Ditson and Scott Luttrell are two victims in the pits right now.
I don't know what the gap is, but to Stefan and Darren, but he's gonna draft him down to turn one.
Yeah, it's just over a
not
half
enough to pull on the side, but
yeah.
It'll definitely suck him in.
It is sucking him in for sure. Looks like Bob Lang is also sucking in Dave Curtis. Let's see. Oh, Bob Lang is making a move on Dave Curtis. So alongside, will he be able to stick it? Looks like he has the position.
Oh, Dave Curtis is close.
That was close. Oh, no,
he's off.
And Bob lost it. Oh, it does not look like he hit the wall, so he'll be able to jump back in, but he'll be very frustrated by that one.
Yeah, we're only a few minutes in, though. He can definitely get some good laps in and improve his position greatly.
Todd Angel holding on there in 4th. Don LeBayer in 5th. Carlos Bonds hot on his tail in 6th. And John Wood at the end of that train. So good battle here. Looks like Carlos has some netcode going on though.
Yeah, as tough as it is to race against somebody who blinks like that, it's even harder for him because when he blinks out, he loses everybody.
Let's take a look at this pack from John Wood's perspective. Riding along in 7th place. Oh, Don LeBayer goes really wide. Looks like Carlos has a run on him.
Oh, it's going to be a tough place to go too wide.
It looks like John had a run too, but had to back out of it. But Carlos is going to take the position. That's a nice pass. That corner there is very deceiving. The camber actually helps you in turn 3. You can take a lot of speed there.
Oh, some waving off.
Oh, yes. I think that was Todd.
Todd Angel, yeah.
Yeah.
He just locked up and plowed straight.
He's back with him, though.
Yeah, that was about as uneventful and, as hopeful as you could go have it off, right?
Yeah. They're still trying to hang on to the lead pack. You can still see him at the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, it looks like Stefan's put a little bit of a gap on Darren.
Yeah, it's about a 2-second interval now.
I mean, the guys are still managing tires, but at this point they're pretty comfortable. They've had a few laps to at least get a feel for what to expect.
Don seems to be reeling Carlos back in.
Yeah, Don all season has been pretty fast. He's always had fast times in practice. Just small mistakes here and there kept him out of having good finishes during the race.
Oh,
maybe today's
Carlos
his day to
with a little bobble loses the position.
He was just a little bit too early on the gas. Got the outside tires in the dirt. Did a great job hanging onto it.
Carlos has been virtual racing for a long time, probably 10 years now. John Wood, who's hanging on to this battle, has been real world racing for a long time, but is pretty new to the virtual world, and he's hanging on to these guys.
Yeah, Don LeBayer just hung onto it. That was a great save coming out of the last corner.
That was a great save, and it's brought the three of these guys right together, and Todd's catching them now too. Oh, and Carlos goes wide. Boy, what a battle between these four. This is great.
4-car battle.
Boy, you lose that draft and the train goes by. That was something. Side by side through 3. That's very brave.
Todd's not sure which way to go.
He decided to go through the dirt. He's side by side coming down the chute. Oh, side by side into 5.
Yes, like Carlos on the inside was just enough to get a HUD there.
Yeah, when you're inside like that, like Carlos was, the grip is really terrific and can really accelerate really hard.
I mean, your only hope if you're on the outside is just to kind of go full send and hope that you can kind of keep a nose on him so that he can't make the turn in to the next corner to the right-hander.
Exactly.
But as you see, they've all spread out because of it. Oh, Don's out in the dirt again.
Nice battle between this group. These are the closest battles on track right now. Oh, and Todd making hay on Carlos again.
Yeah, he's putting himself on the outside for turn 3 here. Probably not going to work out. He makes it around the outside.
How about that? Nice pass. Nice job by both guys, though.
Yeah.
Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, even the car getting past, sometimes it's hard to just be off your line, and your brake points are a little different, your turn is going to be a little different. Very easy to make a mistake in that situation.
Well, and Carlos could have very easily taken both of them out, and he very wisely backed out of it.
I mean, but the smart thing is, if you look, he backed out, and he didn't lose any time. He's right on his back bumper.
Exactly. And he could be back in front by the time they get to turn 1.
Now, this to me is the toughest corner as the tires are coming in, because it does something a little bit different every time. And, as I was saying, the balance changes, and that's what catches me off guard the most. Early on, 5 minutes in, the car still, will steer in. It may slide a little bit more, but it'll make the turn in. And as the tires get warmer, the car will start to understeer.
If you really want to try something exciting, try turn 10 in the rain. Oh no, we lost Todd again.
Yeah, I just carried a little bit too much speed exiting 1, got that left rear tire in the dirt.
John's trying to catch up to Don.
Yeah, something I noticed with this car is the car slides so much. Your outside front tire may be on the track, good and well, but the back could be 8 inches wider. So, if you're not paying attention to where that rear tire is, it's very easy to do what you just saw.
Well, now that thing's settled in, let's see if we can get some replays going here. Let's try that again. So this is the start.
So if you watch the battle for third there, there goes Ian.
Wow. Oh boy, that was tough. Oh no.
And it was slight contact.
It really was. Let's see what happened to Scott here. Looks like a nose cone flying down the track. Oh, that's Rob Hines. Oh.
Yeah, that's just not the corner you want to go into too wide, especially on the first lap.
Yeah, that was brutal. So Ian putting in some good lap times, but still pretty far back.
Looks like the leaders are going to start running into some lap traffic. So could play a part into what happens up there. I noticed Stefan had almost a 3-second lead at one point, but Darren's cut into it with some good lap times.
Yeah, just a little over 2 seconds now. Darren may be managing the tires a little bit better. He does seem to be closing the gap.
Yeah, I mean, the previous lap they were within a 10th, but the lap before that, Darren had about a 7/10 advantage to Stefan's lap, so it was definitely a big swing there. And like I said, just kind of manage his time here, get through these lap cars as they're coming up on. Hopefully he catches up in a favorable place for his sake. I think Stefan's going to catch a draft off this first car.
Yeah, it sure looks like it.
It's Scott Luttrell. who's been turning decent lap times. So he's had an unfortunate day, but he's got good pace.
Which will also bode well for Stefan as he's trying to take advantage of the draft.
Well, now we're getting to the more technical part of the track. It's going to be harder for Stefan to get around him. He may have to wait.
Wonder if Darren has a tear-off programmed. Ah, yeah, there
Oh
we go.
boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Scott locked up a tire, then got a little sideways and counter-steered right off the track.
That seemed to help Darren a little bit.
Now in front of Stefan we have Ian and Toby, who are side by side. That was actually a pass for position. Ian Ditson, you can see he's got that front wing damage. I don't know if it was the draft or what, but he was about 2 miles an hour slower into turn 1 than Stefan was.
Must have had an incident after his accident, 'cause I know he went into the pits and got repaired.
Yeah, after that tumble, he had to use a faster pair, I imagine.
Looks like Toby has gone off.
Yeah, he made a mistake going into turn 1. Not really sure what the error was. Maybe too much brake.
Knowing Ian, he is not going to want to get lapped. You might see his fastest lap times now, but that wing can't be helping him. Tell you what, he's putting in some
mid
pretty good
22.
lap times. Yeah, that's not slow, considering the car's beat up.
Yeah, I mean, like you just saw, he hit 119 miles an hour, and Stefan was able to go 120. So I don't know if Stefan's still catching a little bit of a draft, or if like, you know, could just be that damage that Ian has.
Darren went even faster that lap. It's taking them a long time to catch Ian.
Yeah, he was one of the ones we had hoped would be in this front pack, but turn 1 got him. You know, I don't think it was anyone's fault, just maybe a slight miscalculation by both drivers, just getting too close, but it was, I don't know, I would say it's a minor misjudgment and it had severe consequences because it really didn't look that bad from my perspective.
Stefan's and Darren's fastest laps are just a couple tenths apart. Dave Curtis down to a low 22. Don LeBayer 22 flat.
Yeah, those are super impressive times.
Doesn't look like anyone is in the draft anywhere around track though.
Well, Stefan's got to be close. Curious to see what he has to do to get around Ian. I mean, Ian may just pull over, but you never know. I mean, he is racing as well.
course, be racing his Formula Ford at Summit Point this weekend.
Yeah, that's got to be an exciting drive.
Darren will also be there in his Honda Civic in our modern group.
No, nobody in a Skippy, huh?
Nobody in the Skippy. Yeah, you have to take the kids, throw them in the back seat of the car, and make your way down, Steve.
Yeah, it's about 4.5 hours for us. I think my best bet would be a Lime Rock race. Well, Stefan gets by in turn 3. That's got to cost him a little bit of time.
Yeah, it looked like Ian moved over. Darren's got to get around them now as well.
Curious, Ian can hook onto the back of Stefan. You know, a little bit of damage. Maybe Stefan could help tow him around. You know, if Darren plays his cards right, he could draft by Ian and then catch Stefan's draft. He looks super close.
Well, then, of course, there were, 2 seasons in a row where Ian was perennially behind Darren and no one else, so maybe Darren's more inclined to help Stefan now. I'm not sure. Not surprised to see Ian hanging on now. I think you're right.
Yeah.
The draft's really helping him out.
He almost went 122 miles an hour that time down the front stretch, so. Darren and Stefan were matched their last lap time, so he didn't get any closer. Didn't get any farther. If you get real desperate, you can send it around turn 3, make up a little bit here and there.
I tell you what, there aren't many cars that you can keep floored through the chute like that.
Yeah, I don't think even towards the end I did. I was just lifting just a little bit just to keep the car straight, and I figured that the time gained by staying flat wasn't worth the risk. I mean, there's no straightaway after that point, so
Right.
I was willing to sacrifice a little bit just in the name of stability.
It's definitely the second fastest part of the track, though. Boy, Darren's not able to catch Ian. Ian is latched on to Stefan's draft. Yeah. And Ian
Stefan just turned to 121.5, so he's definitely got a fast car to follow.
Well, Ian just turned to 121.8.
Yeah, and Darren turned to 121.9, which is not a slow lap at all, but it's just not fast enough right now.
Right, well, and it's without the draft, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he is just out of range.
You can see him desperately trying to get on the back of Ian.
I mean, Darren hasn't put a foot wrong. I mean, he's using all the track. He's hitting all his marks. It's just ever so slightly off of what Stefan's doing.
Well, and he's the first to admit that he really doesn't spend any time practicing in this car.
Yeah.
Looks like Stefan is starting to pull away from Ian.
Yeah, Ian's in the 122s again. Stefan pulled a 121.4, so Darren's a 121.8, which is, like I said, a super fast lap. It's just not as fast as Stefan.
Right. Oh, and Ian's off. Oh, this is really going to hurt his speed. And oh no, he pulls back in front. This is going to hurt Darren. Unless Darren can take advantage of some draft now.
curious where he's going to get by now. No, I mean, he's probably hoping Ian can go fast enough that he can, you know, not hold him up till the front stretch and then tow him down it, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. You know, we're 25 minutes into the race and he's got that front wing damage. The car's got a little bit more understeer than he'd like going through that section.
Well, Darren's definitely in the draft now.
Yeah.
Should be able to sail by him on this straight. Oh, he makes a little mistake, though.
Well, hopefully net, it helps him. He gets a little bit of a tow here.
Ian moved right out of the way, too. He's going to let him by. Wow, it looked like Darren braked at the 2 marker that time. That's a really late break. That seemed to hurt him.
And he was carrying more speed than he was because he was going 121 miles an hour due to the draft. And he turned at 121.5 that last lap. So he made up 2/10 on Stefan.
Yeah. Stefan's past lap is a 121.4. They're not far apart.
No, they're not. You know, Darren had a bit of a tow down that front stretch, so let's see if maybe he can make up more time on this lap as well. But he did slide in turn 1.
Yeah, I think that slide in turn 1 may have cost him his shot.
But, you know, you don't lose the time in turn 1. You lose the time on the way to turn 3, just on that stretch. Yep, lost a 10th. We've got a few cars close together on the track, it looks like. John Wood, Carlos Bonds, Scott Kruger, all within 3 seconds of each other.
Yeah, it looks like this group is really close.
You know, they're only a few seconds behind Don LeBayer.
Looks like Carlos making a move.
Almost got it.
Yeah, he's got him.
Kurt's making his life hard, as he should.
Oh, and Scott's off. But he gets by.
Oh. Kurt's going to make the pass. Oh boy. He's carrying way too much speed there.
Oh, yeah. That's actually
got excited in the race.
That was actually Scott Krieger who went down there with a little too much speed. He'll be racing his Porsche 914-6 this week.
Are you saying?
Yeah, that was Scott Krieger. Oh no, you're right. That is Scott.
I think it was Kurt.
Oh, it's Kurt.
It was Kurt.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, made the big mistake, but it really didn't hurt him a terrible amount.
Yeah. Kurt was actually getting lapped there, wasn't he?
Oh, you're right.
Bob Lane coming up to lap Kurt now as well, with Todd Angel hot on his tail.
Yeah, I'm looking at Bob Blank's time. He's got some nice, nice spread. They're all, you know, high 22s.
Oh!
As he makes a mistake there.
Followed Kurt right off the track.
Yeah, but he's got a pretty consistent run there. Is he going to make the move for the last turn? Oh, he's going for it.
Oh, he's going for it.
He backs out at the last
out,
second.
Yeah.
Wisely.
Yeah. Kurt was coming.
Yeah. He's going to get a good run here into turn 1. Giving each other plenty of room.
That's for sure. Oh, and Kurt's coming back at him. Wow.
Now we got Todd behind Kurt. Todd Angel.
Scott Krieger doing his best to run down Carlos Bonds. Are running very similar times. They're 100th off last lap.
Yeah, I mean, Scott's best lap was a 122.0, and his last lap was a 122.1. So they're definitely at the limits of their, of their training here. Should be within drafting distance. Not enough to overtake, but should tow him along.
He does seem to be closing the gap.
Oh yeah, 122, 120. Yep, just over 120, 121 miles an hour entering turn 1.
Yeah, they both seem to be turning faster laps than John Wood, who's in 5th. Still have enough time to catch him. Might have a 3-way battle for 5th here.
Yeah, I think if they don't race each other and focus on just putting in good laps, yeah, it could be a 3-way battle for 5th. Not what John wants to hear, but I think John needs to shut off his rearview mirror and focus on what's in front of him, hitting his points. Yeah, Carlos took 6/10 out of John that last lap.
Yeah, they're very slowly reeling him in. And I'll tell you what, Ian Ditson is really moving up too.
Yeah, well, he had great pace in practice and qualifying. Just had that unfortunate event in turn 1. Happy he stayed with us.
And Dave Curtis very quietly hanging on to 3rd place.
Usually seems to be about where he likes to be, you know? He typically has, like, an uneventful race. He's not slow and steady, but he's definitely fast because he's front of the pack. Not quite Steffen's speed, but nobody else seemed to be able to match Steffen this season.
No, not even close. Well, there's that guy that's sitting in the booth, but other than that...
He doesn't count.
Boy, Carlos is really close to catching John's draft.
Yeah, he took another 4/10 out of him that last lap. It's only going to be a matter of time till they're side by side.
Seems to be pulling away from Scott, too.
I think we're about 5 minutes from the end here, so should be an exciting finish.
This is the closest group on track right now. Stefan's lead has increased to almost 4 seconds over Darren, and Darren's got 13 seconds over Dave Curtis. Another 9 seconds back to Don LeBayer.
That battle for the lead's a lot like last week. It's just, it's not a huge amount. It's just not getting small enough to let them race side by side or anything. Yeah, he's definitely going to get a draft down the front stretch this time. Used a lot more of that last corner, probably carrying a little bit more speed.
See, Carlos has given up on the Hello Kitty livery. Wow, very late braking. Makes it work.
Yeah, he's there now. It's going to be tough for John to keep him back there.
Carlos running 22 flats now.
Using a bit of the extra runoff off the 3.
And he's flat all the way here.
Put a little bit of a gap on Scott.
He's working so hard he doesn't even have time to press the tear off.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a drag race down at turn 1.
Oh, carrying a lot more speed through 10. Not quite close enough.
Trying to play some games in the mirror.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely some gamesmanship going on there.
I mean, his last few laps were all within a tenth. 121.9, 122.0s. Significantly faster than everyone around him. I don't know if it was the draft or just motivated by this race laps clicking down.
Carlos is feeling it. You can see the confidence. Using the entire track.
Yeah, it's a good feeling when you see that car out in the distance and it just gets a little bit closer every lap.
I'd be surprised if we don't see him sail by this time.
Yeah.
John gets a good run off of 10 though.
I think he knew he could have went side by side into the last corner, but it wouldn't have helped him at all down this stretch.
No, and there's a good chance that they take each other out. It's just not worth it. Now
there he goes.
Can do this, yeah. And John's a good driver. John won't try to force the issue here. Carlos earned that.
Well, you put 40 minutes in. You don't want to give it up, but at the same time, finishing is better than not finishing. It's definitely a balance.
Absolutely. 6 is better than 14th, which is probably where he'd end up if he went off. So, it's a wise decision. And it's not over yet. Carlos could put 1 foot wrong, and John's right there.
Yeah, I really thought Scott was going to play a part of this battle, but he hasn't been able to seem to keep up with Carlos's pace.
Carlos hit an afterburner. He saw John getting closer and really got inspired.
Well, now he's out front and he's got no one to follow, and John's going to have the aid of a draft here. So I'm curious if he can reverse that position. I don't know for sure, but I think we're coming close to the end of the race. I don't know the exact time.
We're pretty close. We're at 37 minutes right now.
So maybe 3 more laps. Yeah, John's definitely keeping with him.
He's making him work for it.
Yeah, he's not going to have
any. The fastest car on the track right now, but he's still not fast enough to make any kind of impression on Stefan.
Yeah, at this point he's 3 seconds back. It's going to be really tough. He's going to need a mistake out of Stefan to get that top spot.
Boy, John's really working to get this spot back.
He's not giving up.
No, he is not.
He just turned a 121.8, which is his fastest lap of the race. And I mean, that's a respectable lap, too. I mean, that's a super fast lap for anyone.
Yeah, there's a lot more incentive to go fast when you're chasing someone.
Do you have the timer? Are we on the last lap?
We are at 39:48. This could very well be the... Oh, Darren Treacle! Oh, no, it's the end of the race. Okay. Timing and scoring came back and showed Darren in front. I think maybe they were just going side by side down the straight. Stefan does take the win. Looks like Carlos is going to hold on. Oh, no, wait, there's one more lap. I'm not showing checkers yet. Well, that was confusing.
Yeah, we seem to struggle with that.
I don't know why it showed Darren in front of Stefan for a moment. That was really strange.
Oh, Carlos is close, and he's got to run. John. Carlos made a mistake.
John has a run, and he's got it. How about that? Carlos may have a problem. He's out of gas.
Oh.
Oh, no.
So close.
So close. And Stefan does take the victory. And Darren has taken second place. Dave Curtis comes around turn 10.
Dave Curtis did a nice job today.
Very solid. He was not far behind these guys.
No.
Third place. Don LeBire making his way around 10 to grab fourth.
I think Don will be happy with this.
He ran a good race. John Wood takes fifth.
I don't know if Carlos is going to make it to the start-finish line.
Scott Krieger, sixth. Bob Lang takes seventh. Boy, all these guys are close together. Todd Angel going
it's a
across
wonderful
the
race.
Look at that. Carlos. Oh, he's not going to make it. He's climbing the hill.
Somebody needs to give him a push.
Oh, no. He's gone under the bridge. I think he's going to go into the pits. You know, that might not be a bad idea to go into the pits.
It's a shorter way, right?
It's a shorter way.
Depending on where his pit stall is.
Wait, he's kept that thing running somehow.
0.9. It looks uphill.
I don't know how he did that, but he's got it. It's downhill from here.
Yeah, he's got it. You're right. Well,
Look at that.
congrats, Carlos. Your position isn't quite where you were all day, but at least you get the finish, right?
Wow, look at that. Picking up some speed. Yeah! And he made it. All right. Well, here are our official results. Stefan Vappa closing out the season with a championship. Exclamation point with a win. Darren Treacle second. Dave Curtis third. Don LeBayer fourth. John Wood fifth. Scott Krieger sixth. Bob Lang seventh. Todd Angel eighth. Carlos Bonds crosses the line under no power at all for ninth. Ian Ditson in 10th. Mac McCormack 11th. Scott Luttrell 12th. Curtis Bay 13th. Rob Hines 14th. Toby Yurko 15th. And our last three, Granis, Bursens, and Ostrom, looked like they all dropped out. Well, that was a fun race.
That was an excellent race. We had racing from start to finish, multiple groups. That was awesome.
Well, let's see if we can grab some of our finishers and pull them into the booth here. So give us just a minute as we try to grab some folks and do some interviews. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We are in the interview booth with our race winner, our runner-up, and our third place. Stefan, congratulations on the championship.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It looked like a little bit of a boring race. How was it from your perspective?
It was not boring because, it was nerve-wracking. I was pushing hard, but I really wanted to make it a clean race. I kind of entered this with a goal of trying to come up with some sort of a grand slam if I could, try to get the pole, the race win, fast lap, and 0 incidents. I don't know if I did all of those, but I got
at least got 3.
You
got 3 out of the 4 for sure. I don't know if you got the no incidents, but you definitely got the fast lap. Although
you got the no incidents.
All right, so I was hoping to do that while figuring out a way to run away from Darren. And I started out, and I figured I would have a little bit of a gap at the beginning. Just because the cold tires might be able to let me get away a little bit. And then, sure enough, just like at Laguna Seca, that gap stabilized, and I was no longer pulling it anymore. So I had to up my game a bit and try to get that a little bit farther open, because what was happening is we were catching traffic, and all it would take is a little delay in the traffic, and Darren would have been right on my tail. So, yeah, not boring. Not boring at all.
Yeah, you are a master of consistency tonight, and as you have been all season, congratulations on another championship.
Thank you.
Darren, how was the race?
It was fun. I couldn't get on to Stefan's bumper there at the beginning, which I was hoping I could do. My plan got spoiled a little bit of being a little more aggressive when I asked him if he had already won the championship, and he said no, he needed to have a good clean. I was like, oh, okay. So that spoiled that plan. So then I went to plan B, and that was just to try to hang in there as much as I could or close as I could, and hope that he made a mistake. But he never did. So.
No, we never did, but neither did you. You had a very clean race. You were very fast the entire race.
Had I known of his plan to get those 4 things, I would have probably helped out with not getting one of them at least.
You came awfully close. We were within 200ths.
Yeah, you were just a couple hundredths slower in the fastest lap time, Darren. So you were on it all night tonight.
Yeah, it was fun. It was at one point, I can't remember what lap it was. I was hot. I was getting hot. I was like, man, I got to plug my fan in. So I was like, well, I got to move the trash can. I got to reach down, grab the plug, and plug it in and turn it on. And I did it all on the front straight and still did a 121.8. So I was like, that's awesome.
Which
should have unplugged it and plugged it in every lap.
Yeah. Which lap did you eat your dinner?
Yeah, I was eating a muffin. You know, I had a macchiato.
Yeah. I was getting hot too. It was, it's 40 some degrees outside, and I got the air conditioner running.
Well done, Dave Curtis. Congratulations on third place. You and Ian had a little incident at the beginning of the race. Can you talk us through it from your perspective?
Actually, I couldn't tell if he hit me or not. I had to watch the replay after the race, and it looks like the truck side maybe a bit wide. Tires touched it, kind of went off into outer space there on the spin there.
If you look close enough, the tires never actually touched. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I know.
So from there, I made a few mistakes on the first couple laps on cold tires, and of course with the Darren and Stefan out there, the VRG VRL flying Walendas, if you're not with them at the start, you may never catch them again. So just hang in there, try to keep the lap times down, and stay ahead of the rest of the pack.
Well, you had a very clean race. You probably had the loneliest race of anyone, actually, because it looked like you were consistently just a few seconds behind the front two, but very, very solid result. Congratulations. And Ian, you went somersaulting. I don't know if you watched the replay. It was pretty dramatic.
I watched it immediately. I was like, what just happened? I mean, if I was in points, I would have been a little upset, but it's a race back, and I just, kind of hopped on there, so I don't really care this time. It was like watching it now is really funny to go back and look at. It was impressive. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, it seems like it came out of nowhere. You guys just barely touched tires, and you were gone.
Yeah, I know. That was the only upsetting part
from it.
Well, I don't know if I walked away, but I mean, reset from it, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, and you still managed to, I guess, get up into the top 10, so it was an impressive drive. You had good speed all night. We were really hoping to see you battling out with the top 3, but...
Yeah, I think I could have maybe gave Darren a little bit of trouble, based off how when I was running behind him was going. But, oh well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Off to GTE cars, right?
Well, I don't know if you realize it. You actually had some wing damage when they came up on you and were lapping you.
Really?
Yeah, you had wing damage, and it was affecting your speed on the front straight. When you got into the draft behind them, you were able to hang with them, but running by yourself, you couldn't run as quick because there was some sort of damage on your car.
Yeah, I wonder what did that. Surprising.
Yeah, we don't know either. We couldn't figure it out. I even went through the replay section and I couldn't find anything. So you'll have to go back. You have to go back and find it. John Wood, you had a very impressive showing tonight, coming in 5th place. You had a great battle with Carlos Bonds, who appeared to run out of fuel and just somehow coasted uphill and made it over the finish line. But tell us about how the race went.
Yeah, it was a good one. I had a pretty good start, and there was a couple cars that had trouble in front of me. I was right on Don LeBayer. and doing everything I could to stay with him. And I, took advantage of the draft down the front straight. So probably for the first half of the race, I was right there with Don, and I saw Carlos back there, and he'd knock a couple of tenths off every lap. We ran into traffic, and Carlos was right on me. And then, he drafted me and passed me on, I think, the second to last lap, something like that. And then we get the white flag, and I thought, well, I don't know if I can catch Carlos. And then I saw him slow up. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think he ran out of gas.
Well, I don't know if you know this. When you were after he passed you, you kept on him for almost 3 laps, and we thought you had a shot to get him anyways. You ran your fastest lap trying to chase him down. It was a excellent performance.
Yeah, this was a fun race and great track and great timing. Of course, with the event we have coming up later in the week, get us all tuned up. So it was fun.
Yeah, and I guess all of you except for Ian will be racing in real life at Summit Point at Turkey Bowl this weekend. So how do you think this virtual world is going to prepare you for that?
Oh, I think this is really good prep for VRG's Turkey Bowl coming up here. We're all going to be traveling on Thursday for the event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're all racing in it. Ian, you know what? You got to think about figuring out how to get yourself down to the track and maybe helping out a little bit. We'd love to see, and I'm sure you'd love to see some of the cool cars down there that guys like Clark are going to bring, for example.
Oh, is he bringing the BMW?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, he's bringing.
I'll have to talk to my dad, but that'd be cool to get down there. I don't think we have a car prepared is the only problem to run.
Yeah, I want to say that nearly 50% of the racers in the field tonight will be racing in real life this coming weekend at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
I'd love to get there. I'm not sure if it's in the cards this year.
Yeah, understood. Well, it was a great battle to watch. Good job, everyone. So let's see. The first 2 seasons we raced GT3 cars and Darren dominated. The following 2 seasons we raced Skip Barbers and Stefan dominated. We're getting ready to jump into a short endurance season with GTE cars. Stefan and Darren, what do you think?
I think my time is up.
I think he's sandbagging. He's going to be practicing. He's already bought probably
You're both sandbagging.
5 of the cars, and he's probably done 100 laps already in one of them. So,
I did buy all the mid-engine cars to try those out, but I left the rear engine and the front engine one alone for now. They're fast cars, but I have not yet found the secret to making them go as fast as they can go yet. So there's quite a challenge there. I am kind of looking forward to the enduro format. Think that'll be kind of a neat change. But the cars are going to be a bigger challenge for me.
Darren, you've got some experience in the GTE cars. What do you think of them?
I mean, I like the GT cars, especially the GTE cars. I mean, yeah, they might be a little bit tricky. They don't have ABS. Obviously, they have plenty of power. But, I mean, I think once you get a few laps under your belt, get the tires nice and warmed up, not having ABS is not really that much of an issue. So.
Are we running, the new Daytona, or are we running the free Daytona?
Oh, it'll be the new Daytona.
Okay, I need to buy that then.
Yep. All right, well, thanks everyone for a great season. Steve and I are going to wrap up here. We'll let you guys jump into the pub and debrief.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, thank
you.
Yeah, great race, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Well, Steve, another season in the books. What'd you think?
I think it's incredible how much better everyone gets every race, and this was by far our best race. We just had close racing for all 40 minutes. at multiple points in the grid, which is awesome. So I'm excited to see what the GTE brings.
Yeah, unfortunately, it may mean less help from you compared to what you've been able to do because we've got 5 different cars. But it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to participate in. Hopefully, I'll get to jump in a couple races myself, and hopefully, we can get you behind the wheel at some point as well.
Yeah, I haven't driven a GTE in a very long time, so I don't know what to expect.
Somehow, I think you'll figure it out, but.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, thanks as always for joining myself and Ian in the booth. We greatly appreciate it, and I'll let you jump into the pub with the guys, and I'll wrap up here.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yep, you bet. Well, this is Jim Karamanis, again, wrapping up the Turkey Trot at Summit Point. And for those of you that are inclined, the Vintage Racer Group will be at Summit Point Motorsports Park this weekend for the VRG Turkey Bowl. Summit Point Raceway is offering limited spectating. Please go to the track website at Summit Point Raceway, and you can get your tickets there. We'd love to see you come out and watch us. And we'll be back on track in the virtual world in 2 weeks. We'll be at Daytona with the GTE cars for our Enduro season. This will be a 75-minute race format, which will include pit stops. Should be very exciting stuff. So again, thanks for taking the time to watch us, and we'll see you next time.